What's up, guys? It's Dim. I have another Deck Doctor episode for you guys today. This one is Karakuri, submitted by a good friend of mine, Deshon. So thank you for the submission, man. Really do appreciate it. As a note, like future reference, I'm probably going to start listing the fixes I make. One, because it makes the video look more professional, and two, it just kind of benefits the video a lot, just because, the people can just see visually the fixes instead of having to compare the lists and then calculate them out that way. Just overall me being lazy and not wanting to do it, but I apologize. Future videos will have fixes listed. So we're going to get straight on to his deck, my fixes, just like before. Going to be a recurring theme. So let's get right into it. The deck he submitted contained 2 copies of Cyber Dragon, 1 copy of Doom Caliber Knight, 2 copies of Effect Veiler, 1 copy of Gores, or the allowed copy of Gores, 3 Nanishi, 2 Merchant, 3 Quick, 2 Nasamu, 2 Strategist, 1 Watchdog, 1 Machine of Fortress, and 1 Thunder King Ryo. Spell cards consisted of Book of Moon, Dark Hole, 2 Enemy Controller, Heavy Storm, Limiter Removal, 1 Machine Duplication, Mind Control, Monster Reborn, 2 Mystical Space Typhoon, 2 Pot of Duality, Scapegoat, 2 Bottomless Trap Hole, Solemn Judgment, and 2 Solemn Warnings. Now we flip over to my variant, the one that I fixed, or the fixed version, and we have 3 copies of Nanishi still, 3 copies of Quick still, 2 copies of Merchant still, 2 Strategist, 1 Watchdog, and I dropped to 1 Karakuri Soldier guy. The reason why I don't like 2 is because passive cards, or cards that are passive in nature, even though recruiters you can use differently, it's just I don't like them in the Inzektor matchup, and even against windups, because you get outpaced very easily. You don't want to have cards that are very passive. I think playing 1 recruiter in the decks that have to play it, or it's beneficial in, is okay. Like this, I wouldn't mind 1 tomato in Inzektors. I don't personally like it, but I can see myself playing 1 if I needed to add it in. Things like that. It's okay as a one-of because you can use it very flexibly. You can just ram it, but just having 2 adds a card that just doesn't really do anything. It basically just wastes your turn if you set it or anything like that. So, plus if you need to make weird ass plays with it, you can always just tutor it out off of one of the Karakuri sinkers. So, yeah. I added in 2 Maxis. This is pretty standard for the format to come. And another little side note, I don't know the budget most players have when they submit a deck to me. When a deck's submitted to me without cards that should be in there that cost a good bit of money, i.e. Maxis, I can assume they're on a budget, but just for the sake of the video and for the whole point of the video, which is to maximize the deck submitted's effectiveness so it can compete to the best of its abilities in the metagame, I'm gonna add cards that maybe the person might not be able to buy right away or be able to trade for, just so it can maximize effectiveness, like I said. So I apologize if future decks or anyone submitted, if you don't have tour guides, if you tell me right away, I won't include them or anything. But other than that, if you don't make a note of it, I'm just gonna add in the cards that might be a little bit expensive. So anyway, yeah, 2 Maxi, 2 to 3 standard right now, 2 Effect Veiler stayed, 2 Cyber Dragon stayed, and I added a copy of Doom Caliber Knight. So I'm gonna go off on this card a little bit real quick. I really like it. The decks I've been testing right now for this format, a couple of them I have 2 Doom Caliber Knights in. If you didn't see Frazier Smith's latest article on Alter Reality Games, definitely go check it out. It shows his plant deck, how he would play plants in the upcoming format, and it includes 2 copies of Doom Cal and no copies of Thunder King. I can give my stance on that. Before Order of Chaos, I thought Thunder King was okay. I thought just people played it. I thought it was an okay card. It was a good solid card that people played, but it was kind of lackluster in other points of the game that weren't turn 1. And, you know, it kind of just settled in my mind as a card that you really don't have a replacement for, but you don't want to, like, take out because it's still, you know, okay to start. And in some situations, if you can get it to stick, you know, in game states where they don't have an Exceed or a Synchro, or they need to make one to take control back, it's alright. But most of the time, if you're outpaced already, if they have field presence, Thunder King doesn't do anything. Uh, Doom Caliber Knight, on the other hand, it has the added benefit of being able to stop most of the plays Thunder King can, i.e., like Tour Guide or something like that. But it can also stop things like hand traps and gores. You can swing into gores with impunity if you have Doom Caliber Knight, and you get to watch people burn their precious hand traps on him. Doom Caliber Knight is essentially like Thunder King. It sets your opponent back a turn and allows you to capitalize on them burning like a power card, or of them burning their normal summon and slowing them down for the turn. But Doom Cal can do it in multiple situations, and that's why he's great. So yeah, second one to him for sure. Really like him right now. Going on to the spells, 2 Duality remain the same, 2 Mystical Space Typhoon remain the same, all of the staples remain the same. I dropped down to 1 Enemy Controller just because I think this card is better. But you can still play the 1 because of versatility, and still combos with this, which is like, I'll get it to in a second. And I dropped the Machine Dupe because we don't really see anything to dupe other than the Nishis, and it's pretty underwhelming. I mean, you really don't want to dupe them out like that and combo out, I guess, unless you're like gonna win, because if you can't win, the deck doesn't play Pot of Avarice. I opt not to play Pot of Avarice in decks that can't like excel at putting monsters in the graveyard just because of the dead draw. But anyway, moving on. Yeah, so drop the dupe. Yeah, trap cards, I added in 3 Fiendish Chain. 2 to 3 is like the standard in most decks now. Decks that play 3 usually have ways to facilitate the third one, and this deck does it in the form of Quick. You know, basic example is they summon Tour Guide, you flip Fiendish Chain, summon Quick, bang. And that's just like one way, the main way. So you can facilitate multiple copies. 2 Solemn Warning, Stay, and then since I had a lot more room in his trap lineup because I cut all of the unnecessary spells, I added in Force Torrential, Dust Shoot, and Solemn Judgment Stays. As for the extra deck, the only thing I really changed was I took out the Leviathan for Zen mains, and that was pretty much it. So yeah, I don't do side decks, by the way. I'm going to add that in unless people send them to me or ask like what would be a good side. But a lot of the time isn't usually included. So I tested matches without sides, obviously, because I don't have one. Wind Up and Insectors and Rabbit. I won the majority of my games against Rabbit. I don't know how. I really thought that was going to be my worst matchup because Dolka is actually just completely detrimental to this deck, and another reason why I don't think it can be competitive. But in the games that I played, I grinded out Dolka the best I could, and my top decks were better. I did lose 1 game to them, I believe, and that was when they had like the ideal rape setup to this, which is like Dolka and Protection, which is all it needs to do to beat this deck. But anyway, Wind-Ups and Insectors, I don't really remember too much. I know I lost a couple, won a couple. I played like 7 or 8 games, like matches total. The only thing I can really say with that matchup is like, or those matchups, if you don't open one of the hand traps, it's kind of just like, it's like a paradox. It's kind of like, it's not like similar in like the game mechanics, but it's similar in like how something is played out in this format. Like the paradox with Heavy Storm and 3 MST. If you set more than 1 card without Solemn Judgment, you're liable to get a Heavy Storm, but you want to do that in fear of MST so you still have answers to protect your setup. If you set 1 card, you're likely to just get spaced, and then control is just lost from you. You lose control, Insectors pop your field, Wind-Ups drop your hand with impunity, whatever the case is. It's kind of like that complex, whereas if you don't draw a hand trap, or if you don't go first and draw like that or something, it's game. Because Wind-Ups have a 47% chance of dropping your hand, and Insectors have so many ways to get the 2-card combo to pop your field, so it's like, whatever. But anyway, yeah. that's my stance on that, and that is my Karakuri fixed deck list. Once again, thanks to Deshon for submitting it. If you guys would like to submit a deck for fixing, if you're not a part of the Facebook group I'm on, then you can simply PM me on here or look me up on Facebook and send me a message, and I will definitely get to your deck. So, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I gotta respond to my IMs now, and I'll talk to you later. See ya.